Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good pal, John Taylor. Hey, buddy, how we doing?
Hey, Josh, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Busy week. Got my bowling charity event this coming Saturday, March 1st.
Oh, yeah. What's that
Shout
all
out
about?
there on the hat.
Remind me what that's all about.
Yeah, so for the last three, this will be the fourth year. We do this little get-together where we raise money for one specific family. The family changes every year, but it's always a family with a kid who's battling cancer, and just a bunch of good people that get together and raise money for that family. They take the money at the end of the day. They go home. We don't really care what happens with it. We're just trying to help out. So
that's awesome.
it's been, it's a lot of fun. It's a heartwarming thing, and it's good for the soul, but it is a project. And so, that's been a lot of work, but it'll all be worth it just coming up in a little bit. So got that going on. And then also enjoying some sports along the way, John.
Yeah, starting to pick up a little bit in a bunch of different ways.
Let's start with the Bucks. Your Milwaukee Bucks.
3-0 post All-Star break.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the biggest one for me was the game against the Wizards and Khris Middleton. Seeing Khris Middleton on the opposing team was let me just start by saying it didn't feel right. It definitely didn't feel right.
Yeah.
At all. And when they at the end of the game, when they were like going and hugging and whatever, I wanted I know this is just the drama queen in me, I guess, a little bit, but I wanted a little bit more of an embrace between Giannis and Middleton in that line, which I know, I'm sure they still talk all the time. And it's not like there was, all right, you're not on my team anymore, but the camera was ready for it. And it was one bro hug, and then they were out.
I mean, it was a close game at the end of the. I don't know if you saw it. But at the end, I mean, I watched Khris Middleton go up to take a three, and I thought to myself, well, this will be how Khris Middleton beats the Bucks on his debut against the Wizards, doing classic Khris Middleton stuff. Luckily for us, he missed it, and that's pretty much all she wrote. I don't know if that was the final shot or if the Bucks put up a couple more points. Either way, that's the lasting image. I was just like, the Wisconsin sports fan in me is like, of course, the guy we trade is just going to immediately bury us on his debut on his new team. It's been an interesting 48 hours, I'd say, with that game specifically, because Jim Owczarski put out a big article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel just kind of talking about how Khris heard the news while they were in Charlotte, and he rented a car and he went back to South Carolina for a little while. And he just got a 3.5-hour drive where he could decompress and think about everything. And I read that article feeling very much like, oh, so he kind of understands where it is. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. He's like, I understand it's a business decision. I'll always love Milwaukee. They're in a spot where they, I'm just not at a spot physically where I can give them what they need for where they, and I was like, okay, cool. That's how I've always felt about the Khris Middleton trade. I've said it on here. I did not want to see Khris Middleton go, but at the end of the day, Khris just isn't giving us, he just wasn't able to give us the Khris Middleton that we needed for it to make sense anymore.
He hadn't for a while.
He can't be, and this is no shade to Khris, it's going to sound, but you just can't be as old as he is, as slow as he is, and then also be as unavailable as he is. It's just it's too much of a bad thing. So you find out he gets up for that game. He makes his debut, immediately ruled out on Sunday today for knee issues. So it's just kind of more of the same. And I really do. Listen, I hope Khris is able to play out this year. He's able to show enough teams what he can still do, and he gets picked up by somebody. Hell, maybe it's the Bucks on a way more team-friendly
Can you imagine if they brought him back?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't actually think he'll come back. It'd be fun to have him back in 5 years if he's still playing on some retire as a Buck kind of contract. I'd be into it, but I just think that time's passed. And I brought all that up to say this, that there was an Eric Name article that came out for The Athletic where it's all of a sudden, all of those good feelings. There was a lot. I don't have the exact quotes, but the feelings were kind of just they decided I just couldn't do what I needed to do, or and it got a little more heated or poignant, let's say. And I don't, it's not my favorite So I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling here a bit, but
no, you're right.
I'm conflicted. I have mixed feelings about it. It sucks that he feels that way, but I thought we left it.
I can't remember the last time that a player from anywhere was traded from a team they didn't want to leave after being there for a long time, and that it was truly on good terms, right? Like, we all know that that's what the players say. That's what they say. Originally, initially it's all right, be professional, don't burn bridges. You give the PR answer, and that's exactly what Middleton gave. And I honestly don't know what is. I'm sure that the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
I'm sure that he still loves Milwaukee. Why wouldn't he appreciate everything that happened here? He won a championship here, but I'm sure he wasn't also thrilled that he was being shipped off. Who would be? So I get what you're saying, but I'm not going to buy, into Ozarski or name story one more than the other. I think that you just got to be, with any of that, you got to be careful how much you take.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but I just know as a fan, I didn't like seeing it. I didn't like seeing that. I didn't like seeing that game and seeing Middleton on the other side.
Yeah,
it just felt weird,
especially with no Dame. I was like, oh, this is going to be a recipe. There was pretty heavy minutes restriction, right? Because there was the Clippers. They played it back-to-back. Of course, it was Clippers into Washington. Yep. So I was just kind of like, man, I was like, it'll be a miracle if we go 1-1 over those two games. They talked about how Dame and Giannis were going to be on heavy minutes restrictions against the Clippers, and they held them to it. I mean, Giannis got into a little bit of foul trouble, but he ended up only playing. He did not play. I think he only broke like 26 minutes. I mean, he's still technically on minutes restriction. He played 32 minutes today, which I guess technically broke the 31-minute restriction they had set for him. So I'm looking forward to when they get him out. But they're 3-0. I'm really happy about that. Yeah. I'm not. Some things I'm not loving are how we seem to keep falling behind in the first quarter. Specifically, these last two games, 32-19, and then we got outscored 37-23. Our starting lineup right now is Dame, Taurean Prince, Kyle Kuzma, Giannis, and Brook. And I understand maybe trying to run jumbo to just try to weaponize your size, but it's not working. It's Taurean Prince should not be starting in the backcourt. He was our starting power forward or small forward when Khris was out. It's just too big of an ask, especially when we have AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. I think it's time to get one of them into the starting lineup.
Do you see Doc doing that though?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, these games, these are like, you got to try it. I can respect and appreciate, but the games, the offense is exploding when this lineup is not on the floor. I don't have the plus minus on this specific lineup, but it's bad. It's really bad, and I think what we're finding out is with the addition of Kevin Porter Jr., the few minutes that Jericho Sims has played, we've all been screaming for that. They're just more athletic without the big two on the court, and that athleticism is paying off in points. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about KPJ because of what happened off the court. But at the end of the day, as of right now, he's a Milwaukee Buck, and that's just the way it's going to be. So if he's going to be here, we need him playing well. Yeah. We need him playing well. And he put up what? He put up 11 points. I'm just trying to check his minutes here. He put up 11 points in 14 minutes. So that's productive. That's highly productive, to the tune of like a +8 plus or minus, which is really good, and I think the big thing that I want to talk about is just that Ajax has found his way. He played 2 minutes today. I mean, he found his way from
which the Bucks
starting.
Won we didn't say that. Yeah, that was part of the 3.
3-0. Yep. Yeah, part of the 3. Yep, 120 to 113 against the Heat. I just want to highlight the fact that Ajax is basically out of the rotation right now, which is, I guess, to be expected when you make that trade, right? Teams do not respect Andre Jackson's offensive game, period. He doesn't have a great shot, and he doesn't attack the rim. And what we needed out of him originally with Khris being in the mix was a lockdown defensive defender. But now that we have Kuz, Giannis, Brook, we need more offense. We just need a guy who can shoot. And I think that's ultimately why we probably go ahead and see the decision to move forward with either Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green. I guess my question to you is, who do you think would be better? I think Gary Trent's earned it more, but we already tried him starting at the 2 and it wasn't great. And granted, the player pool is different, but he's just been so good off the bench. So,
well, and that's kind of my thing that's difficult, especially because I don't give Doc a ton of credit in experimenting with things. I feel like in the time that he's been here, it's been a lot of, if he likes what he likes, that's what's out there. And it leaves the fan base a lot of times going, why does he refuse to give this guy minutes? And I don't expect that necessarily to change. I hope I'm wrong. But also there were other things that came up, right? Like we haven't talked about on the podcast yet, the news with Bobby Portis.
Yeah, we're definitely bearing the lead by talking about all this, except for the massive suspension that just befell the Bucks. But
so
finish that thought, and then we can dive in, or if that's it.
I mean, so that was kind of it. Is that like I don't know who necessarily I'd want more, and honestly, my brain doesn't go there because I don't believe that I'm gonna get to see the different rotations out there. I believe that Doc's gonna put out those same guys, and he's gonna expect them to do better because that's kind of been what I've expected from Doc. So,
I'll say this: the fact that we keep finding ways to win isn't going to help changing that. Like I said, I have to say on the record, I do not think Taurean Prince at the 2 is the answer when KPJ has shown that he can produce off the bench in the backcourt. When Ryan Rollins seems to be doing well, he's going to get converted any day now. So I just think there's more options that TP can come off the bench, and I think the Bobby suspension is just going to force him to have to like look into the different ways.
It should force it should.
Yeah.
I don't know that it will.
Yeah, I think Doc deserves a lot of credit. Okay, I think he made a lot of chicken salad out of chicken shit last year and the start of this season. The roster has been pretty one note since the trade deadline, and this is the first time that they're adding a really large variety of pieces. So I think really this is where I say in a month, we can check back in. Let's say we'll bookmark what do the lineups look like, because I think this is the first time where it actually makes sense to play with it. Unfortunately, through a bunch of unfortunate circumstances, i.e., losing your second best player in franchise history. Well, third, but you get it. One of our best players in franchise history, losing Bobby Portis for 25 games. So, anyways, all right.
Yeah.
Officially.
So that's the big news.
The big news.
Bobby P.
Bobby Portis, unfortunately, suspended for 25 games for violating the NBA's
health and wellness policy.
Yeah, performance. Right? It's like officially like the performance enhancing drugs. I have the statement here. Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis, anti-drug program by testing positive for tramadol.
Yes,
and so he was on record as saying he was dealing with an elbow injury and using an NBA-approved medication, Toradol. Not tramadol, Toradol. And an assistant gave him the wrong medication on accident. So the thing, though, is that Bucks players, NBA players, can't be on tramadol at all because it was recently added to the banned substance list this fall. And I've seen there being a huge conversation. It sounds like this was not a recent thing, that this could have happened in November or December of last year. And they were in conversations with the league trying to figure out first-time offense situations, trying to figure out, can we prove it was a whoopsie daisy? The drug itself is a pretty low-grade painkiller. But the problem is the league does not want guys addicted to painkillers.
Makes sense.
So, I saw a bunch of like Twitter doctors just being like, I don't even prescribe tramadol because it's barely better than ibuprofen. So like, it's just not even an effective treatment plan. So we don't do it. But I think the other big issue is the way the reports kind of circulate around it. It wasn't obviously the NBA communications, but somewhere it was reported that it is likely that it was not his prescription at all, that it was his assistant's tramadol. So he's taking medication that's banned, that's not prescribed for him. So
I thought I saw a message or an article that had a quote from like his agent that said that like no one is more embarrassed about this than Bobby because he was taking the Toradol, like they said, or however you say it, and that the tramadol just like snuck in there. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know that I buy that story, but let's go with I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's still not a good look. Like now you're sitting here, you'd be like, my player's an idiot, right? Like he's not reading the bottle before he's taking.
The thing though too about athletes is it's super not uncommon for them to pay assistants, medical professionals to literally just distribute pills to them. You know what I mean? They like pay somebody to take care of this, but the fact is it wasn't prescribed to him. And I think that's like really ultimately the biggest.
That was a nail in the coffin.
I think so. Because the new CBA is pretty set in stone. First time offense, it's a 25-game suspension for using banned substances, period. And it sounds like it's not worth appealing. There was a conversation like, is the reason why this went on so long was because they were appealing. Doc was like, we're not appealing. It doesn't seem like it's going to benefit us. Delaying this any further isn't going to be a good thing. I mean, the silver lining on this suspension is that it's a 25-game suspension. And when it got announced, there was 29 games left. So Bobby will be able to come back and play 4 games. But it's been a tough year for him, man. I feel for him between the home burglary, his grandmother passing, he was already away from the team for like a week and a half on that full road trip before the trade deadline and All-Star break. So I just feel for the guy. I think he becomes significantly more valuable to this team with Khris being gone.
Yeah, absolutely does.
So, he's a perennial 6 man of the year contender. Like, and we finally have some between Kyle Kuzma and potentially Jericho Sims. I'm not holding my breath. Doc has also recently been on record saying we view Kyle Kuzma as like our 4th big. He's now our 3rd big. So we're seeing Jericho Sims in the lineup. But I will say that the prediction that Kyle Kuzma would unlock the small ball lineups with Giannis at the 5 is 100% true, which means we don't need to rely on Bobby to play center or play big when Brook is getting played off the court. Because I love Brook. I really do. I think Brook still continues to get a lot of hate for being just a walking like top 10 defense in terms of elite rim protection. Like the guy is an absolute stud, but he just can't play 35 minutes anymore.
Yeah.
He can't play as many minutes.
He's also old.
He can't play as many minutes as he is old, And so I just think they've done a nice job of getting like a lot of big athleticism around him. And so hopefully that means we can get better Brook minutes while Brook's on the court. He's not getting worked too hard. And our expectations can kind of recalibrate to his ability as a guy who's been in the league for almost 20, damn near 20 years at this point, So, the Bobby suspension is not great. I was loosely wondering, it's like, did he not get moved because this was swirling and they were in conversation? It's going to be a hard thing to substantiate. At this point, they would never admit to it because the trade deadline's over. But a lot of these trades would have made way more sense to aggregate the salaries of like Bobby and Pat. I mean, it became pretty obvious that nobody was going to take Pat's salary without him. And I think it became pretty obvious that the Bucks, which I think we all knew intrinsically, we've overvalued our love and need for Khris. I don't think he plugs and plays as easily in a lot of teams. So our value of him is a lot higher. So we'll see. I mean, they're 3-0. They're looking great. They're showing flashes and dynamicism in ways that we haven't seen before. And so you just got to hope that, while I hope the minutes restrictions go away, I hope they continue to just monitor Giannis and make sure that he's good to go in the playoffs.
Giannis and Dame, we've learned you need both of them.
Yep.
No matter what.
And then the big thing too is I saw a stat that was like Embiid has played more playoff games post 21 than like Giannis has. It's like, fuck me, that is awful. Like that is a tough statistic to just be. It's not great. It's not great, Bob.
Every time I remember seeing that too, and when I saw it, my brain immediately went to, did we cash in all of our eggs? And I'm not saying that it made sense or it didn't make sense to do this if we were given the opportunity, but did we cash in all our chips on him recovering during the 2021 run when he went down in that game and we were like, we just lost Giannis for the finals, and then he magically comes back? Did we cash in all our chips and then have it to where now he's not going to be able to do that again? Yeah. Because then when he went down, he tried fighting through it. It just wasn't the same, right? Yeah. Any other year.
Yeah. I think that's like you're karmically asking if we've went all in on that year. I think so. I mean, listen, he's about to be, he is 30 now. Like he's just not, this is what playing that dominant style of play looks like when you aren't just hanging out under the cup a la Shaq. Like he moves and pushes his body to the limit. He does not take plays off. And I think you're just experiencing, I don't want to say load management, but like they need to finally invest in some players around him to allow him to take that time. Like I at this point, I would love to see Giannis in that 32, 34 minute a game range. I don't want to see him north of like 35 for the rest of the season because it just is what it is. We're not really pushing for a 1 seed anymore. I really want to keep the 4 seed. I think right now the standing
we're in the 5 seed.
Right. We're not. Back. Yes, we're only 1 loss back. So there's definitely a lot of time to try to make that up. So I want to win these games. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's like really important that we do. But I said this before this 3-game stretch, and now that we're back, like Kuzma looks great. He looks good alongside Giannis. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Khris in a lot of ways. He's going to have really big swings offensively. He's going to be on fire, and then he's not. He does it a lot more in like 1 game. So I think he's going to be a roller coaster, but like we've talked about in the past, like as a role player, not a true third big option, like he's fine. And I think his like defensive effort is there. You can tell he was excited to be back on a like playoff contending team. Yeah, exactly. 100%. And I think the Bucks are officially kind of rounding that corner on potentially a championship caliber team. Like I think they match up against Cleveland really well, and Cleveland's been playing lights out, but when it comes to the playoffs, I think our bodies match up against their bodies well. I think the Knicks don't scare me as much as they should. And I think those, we don't really have an answer for Jalen Brunson, but Cat, I think, went down today. Like they're dealing with like a lot of injuries. So it's like, so we'll just see. I don't know. There's a lot of time left, right? There's 21 games, 22 games left in the season. So there's plenty to keep our eyes on. But listen, if you would have told me that we went 3-0 in these first 3 games with like heavy minutes restrictions, with Dame not being out, I would have been happy with 2-1, and I would have been happy to just get 1. So the fact that we're 3-0 and we're seeing the new guys contribute early is really awesome. So that's kind of
next game is in Houston. On Tuesday.
Yeah, it's weird. They kind of like do a weird like every other game is at home in the month of March. It's like kind of like low key terrible scheduling. I hate it, but it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah. Someone got paid lots of money to make that schedule.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah, it's at Houston, home Denver, at Dallas, at Atlanta, and then home. So it's not so back and forth. But there's at Indiana, at home. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought, but still not great. But
there's a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And the schedule all of a sudden isn't looking as terrible as it did before. Like Dallas is kind of a dumpster fire now. All of a sudden,
we get to play change really quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we play Dallas on the 5th and the one other time on the 1st and the 5th of next month. AD's not going to be back. Gafford's gone. You know what I mean? There's a lot of injuries on that Mavericks team. So I just mean there's a lot of injuries there. So they're not playing, the Suns seem to be like over at this point. We have to play them 2 more times still. The 76ers, we got 1 more game against them. I mean, really, it's like Detroit's kind of looking pretty good. And we got at the Pacers a few times. And like Denver always seems to give us trouble. But and we got the Knicks 1 more time. It's basketball. I'm just saying, it's when we'll win games we should win. We'll lose games we shouldn't lose. It just is what it is. So we'll see. But I think they're kind of hopefully peaking at the right time. You get on the hot streak, third place is not out of striking distance. It's just not realistic at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not banking on the 3, but I definitely think the 4 is there for the taking, and that they can accomplish that while hopefully having Doc, experiment a little bit and figure out, some different starting lineups.
Yeah, and they just got to get that. They just got to get that. That's the biggest thing. They got to get that figured out.
And they have time. They have time to do it. It's just, does Doc push it? We'll see.
Yeah, we're 4 games back behind the Knicks, so we'll just have to check in with that.
But moving to Arizona, the Brewers, the Milwaukee Brewers, have started playing baseball. The games don't count, but they are in spring training. And one of the big things since the last time we talked was Jeff Levering, our friend of the show, had a very emotional an awesome kind of sign on talking about the lack of euchre this year. I was not able to listen to the whole thing, but eventually I'll get around to being able to listen to the whole thing. But he's awesome, and we're going to be seeing a lot of tributes to Uke this year. I said after he passed, I don't think that there could be enough. Anyone who says like, okay, we get it, no, you don't. So, and that brought up one of the other things that we had already kind of mentioned, but that the Brewers are doing a specific patch on the uniforms this year to honor Bob Uecker. And there was a story that talked about the patch, and that you can have the patch. The patch is going to be available to be on any MLB jersey purchased from the team store, or you can bring in a jersey. You said you saw?
Yeah, the patch will only be applied. This is as per the Brewers team store Twitter account, X account. The patch will only be applied to MLB issued jerseys. The patch will not be sold separately. So from the readings of it, it looks like you can bring in previously purchased jerseys at least. So yeah, it's weird. I think they're just definitely trying to make sure people just don't buy a huge stock of these, right? I think they're really wanting to make sure that Brewers fans are getting these patches, period.
Sure.
And it's an iron-on, so you could technically buy the patch, have them get it on there. You could remove it if you wanted to put it on something else.
If you wanted to ruin your jersey,
yeah. But I think I don't know. I think it's. How do you feel about it?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it. Okay, let me explain. I love the patch. I love the idea. I understand that they're trying to protect it. I promise you there will still be knockoff patches. That's the way that the world works. I wish that they were willing to put the patch on more things, and maybe they will when as the season goes on. Like, I'd love to see it on a hat. I'd love to see them put it on a little bit more merchandise than just the jerseys. I think the idea of putting it on any MLB, what did you say, MLB issue or like authentic jersey, however you want to say it. I do love that. My brain immediately went to like, so if I bring in like a Noriaoki jersey, slap that bad boy on there.
Yeah, it doesn't say Brewers jersey technically. It just says MLB issued jersey.
Yeah. So, and I wonder like how far back can that go? Like if you have a, jersey, my Jeff Jenkins, my John Jaha jersey.
Yeah. What will they put it on our buddy Ryan Keiss's like custom made Trevor Hoffman jersey before they started selling them? He like stripped an old jersey. It's technically authentic. They've worked on it before.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'd love to get more details on this. And
I mean, the truth is, hopefully they just do. I don't know. I think it's weird to like. I understand not wanting. I think you should probably limit per customer. It's 2025. It's really easy to figure out how many times a credit card has been charged for like literally anything. So it's like just like one per card. And if somebody's really going to spend the time on charging 20 different cards to get a patch, it's like, I guess God bless you for getting 20 patches. It seems weird and unnecessary, but like sometimes you got to shout out the hustle. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I don't think if you limit it per customer and you need to get more patches, then get more patches. That seems like a good thing.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't like you're limiting it to, 91 patches or something.
Yeah.
Like
it's not a limited edition run. It sounds like they're happy to sell them to you.
Have a million patches.
But they're going to go on a million.
Everyone.
They're going to go on a million jerseys. Damn it, that's the plan.
See, that's what I don't get. Yeah. Okay, so right now I just did this. Right now on eBay. Ever heard of eBay, John?
Electronic Bay. Yeah.
Yes. There is a Bob Uecker patch. It looks like this was a terrible Photoshop job, but someone is selling it right now. The Bob Uecker Brewers 2025 baseball patch, embroidered iron, so on patch. You can get two of them for $18, and it's on eBay.
I'm just not convinced that isn't a knockoff. There will be knockoffs of these.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So
it's like if people really want it, they're going to find a way. I just don't understand why the Brewers wouldn't want to capitalize and just that people aren't going to buy knockoffs if they know they can come get a legit one for $12.
Sure.
Don't let me put the patch on everything I own. Let me buy 30 of them and put it on every jersey, on every hat, on my backpack. What does it matter? Who cares? I'm paying you. You're getting the money for it. You designed it. Let me put it on my crap.
Yeah, the team could use the money after, and this is something we didn't talk about in our pre-pro, but the team could use the money because we got our owner saying, is it the responsibility to win a World Series
get there.
or to put butts in the seats? His son came out and was like, whoa, that's a gross mischaracterization. If you read the full article, it does now seem like after that 48-hour fervor that Mark Antanasio is a cheapskate, all of that, it does seem like he was saying that one serves the other, that both is the answer and it's the obvious answer. So of course, like, this is the problem with clickbait and just excerpt hunting. But
no. Do not let Mark Antanasio off the hook. Okay. First of all, anyone who's made anywhere near the amount of money that man has made in his life knows how to handle these type of questions. He should have known the second that question was asked. The number one goal is always to try to win a World Series. He knows, he's owned this team long enough to know that that's the answer. You don't have to say both. It doesn't have to be something that's up for interpretation. Not one Brewer fan was going to read that article, listen to that interview, and go, man, I can't believe that this guy's not focused on having family fun during the summer in Milwaukee. Not one person is responding to that. Everyone is saying we want a championship. We are well aware that Brewer games are something that we can do during the 3 to 4 month stretch of good weather in Milwaukee. We are all aware of that. There's also plenty of other things. There's Summerfest. We're the city of festivals. There's plenty of things to do in Milwaukee. We don't need this baseball team to just be something to fill time. Okay. And that's whether it was taken out of context or not. The man is smarter than that answer. And that's why I hated it. If you want me to believe that he was insinuating, of course, we're trying to win a championship, I'm not buying that. Okay. It wasn't top of mind, and he should be smart enough to know that that's always the answer. How is it not getting through his head that that's always going to be the number one thing? It wasn't in that answer. I don't believe it is now. He doesn't show it in the money he spends. It was a bad look.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, if that's a perfectly reasonable take. The PR angle of it, I didn't read sadly, I did not get a chance to read the full article because I don't pay for wherever that article is published. Yes. And maybe that makes for bad podcasting. But I will say, you're right. If there was enough conversation where he thought he could answer that question with a level of nuance that would be discernible through the entire article, give me a break, my guy. You have to know how the fan base views you. Hey, thanks for buying the team. Thanks for getting us out the mud. But you've been cutting corners and talking about the bottom line for quite some time. So, I understand. I do not let him off the hook. And I'll buy 20 patches to make sure that we could sign the next Willie Adames next time around, So,
yeah. But minimum of 20 patches.
But some other news. Blake Perkins is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks due to a fracture after he fouled a ball off his shin. This was reported yesterday at 9 a.m. That lines up around the same time as reports where they saw Manny Margot. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced.
No idea. Don't know who he is, but he's on the team now. I do know the other guy they brought in.
Yeah, he's an outfielder from the Rays. More importantly, it sounds like, well, it didn't sound like they did. The Brewers have officially signed Mark Canha back to the team on a minor league deal. Yeah. So definitely feels like they're looking for a fifth outfielder while they're waiting. I love the Canha signing. He's played at first base before, so there's some flexibility that way. Sadly, I don't think it really transitions anybody to third, which I still think is a huge question mark. My biggest frustration with the offseason. I've heard other podcasters and media people really lose their mind over this third base situation. I think in true Brewers fashion, they're going to see what they have between Oliver Dunn, and obviously they got Caleb Durbin. And he had that super standout spring Arizona fall league, whatever it was. When we got the trade, that was a big thing. So I would have loved to see the Brewers go definitively get somebody, but I think when you look at the free agent landscape and where and how the third basemen went, it just wasn't really surprising. I think there were some swings they could have taken.
Especially because we're focusing on having family fun during the summers in Milwaukee.
Yeah, we got to figure out. Remember. We got golf simulators to figure out. Right. But I'm saying all that to say, Canna was a great guy. I think he was like a strong veteran presence. I understood why the Brewers couldn't bring him back. I think in this kind of flyer, potential fifth outfielder, he has not played a ton on third base, but he's definitely played first base a ton for the Brewers, and he had some pretty electric moments. He's a known #good guy.
Don't forget too, this was a minor league deal he was signed to, and this is spring training. Yeah, this very well could be. He might not even be on the team.
Well, I think with the injury to Blake, it's pretty guaranteed that he'll be on the team for a little while they sort all this stuff out. I think he will. I think he'll make the opening day roster. I do. I think he's a good enough player. I think Blake Perkins was the no doubt fifth outfielder, and he's not in the mix anymore. You got Yelich, Churio, Sal, Garrett.
Yep.
And now you don't have Blake, and Blake's defense is elite, but he's not there. And I think Mark Canha has an exciting bit of power still in that bat. The fact that he can play first is really interesting. I don't know anything about the Manny Margot. I'd be curious to see if they brought them both in, because maybe they were excited about bringing Manny in, and then Blake went down and they said, well, if we might as well make it a competition and see what happens. I mean, that's fair play. And I like those kind of moves. I think a lot of this is going to depend on how ready is Tyler Black to making any sort of contribution on this major league roster. There's just a ton of questions. And I mean, of course, we were never going to get this answer within the first couple of days of spring training, but a couple exciting days of baseball, right? I mean, we came back and stormed back and won our first game. I mean, the scores don't matter, and I really don't think about it too much, but it's just exciting to see baseball being played again.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the Brewers, I suppose. I'm excited for more baseball.
Baseball is good.
I like these moves. I don't love the overall shakedown of the offseason, but what are you going to do at this point? So
sure. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of numb to it.
Yeah, I'm excited about Nestor Cortez, man. You see like his pitching. I look back into a season last year, and I'm just kind of like, man, is he just did Yankees fans just blast him the same way we were blasting Devin because of one play? Like, you know how many guys give up grand slams to Freddie Freeman? A ton. The dude is one of the best hitters in the league. Like, I just think like we are probably I think there's a very real chance we are going to be pleasantly surprised by Nestor Cortez. And not even because, I'll knock on some wood here too. Not even just because my dog is barking now because I did that. That's funny. Not only just because we need him. We need a fifth. We need our rotation solidified. I think he's better than some of our slotted starting pitchers. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Woodruff is back on the mound dealing. So hopefully, there was that report that there was like a setback, and then he went on the record being like, I didn't have a setback. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this was always going to be like a slow process, but like we're where we want to be. Kind of seems like that, steady as she goes, and we'll see. I don't know where Woodruff is going to slot in this lineup to start. I mean, they already announced that Freddie Peralta is going to be the opening day starter. I think that makes perfect sense. I think at some point, if you ever reset the rotation, getting Woodruff back at the top of that might be good, but we just don't. I don't know what his pitching is going to look like, but pre-2020, I was banging the drum pretty hard that I was like, we're keeping one of Burns and Woodruff. I'd take Woodruff,
Yeah, same.
So I'm happy that he didn't find his way on another team. I'm sad that he was out an entire year due to that injury, but from the reports I'm seeing is that his velocity's where you want it to be in terms of where he's at in his recovery. So there's only one way to find out, but him and Peralta, and obviously Cortez being here, and then probably Asher being the fifth, and then I'm forgetting who's the other guy is. I'm not fully in Brewers' brain as of right now, but
it's fine because it's spring training. That's the thing. Now's when it's supposed to be that case, and we're seeing guys in spring training that are names that we don't even know that are showing up and fighting for a spot and fighting for their cause. And so time will tell. I've always taken from spring training, you get to see, hey, this guy's back, and more importantly, baseball is back. Perfect. That's spring training to me. Before we run out of time here, because we promote it every week and then we rarely get to it, we got to talk some wrestling.
Yeah, let's talk wrestling. Hey, everyone, let's talk wrestling. It's on the road to WrestleMania. It's a good time to get back into it.
WrestleMania is going to be here before we know it. We got Elimination Chamber prior to.
Next Saturday.
Yes.
March 1st.
So talk to me about, there's just so many angles and different storylines going on. I don't even know where to start. Okay, I do know where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with John Cena.
Interesting. Okay.
Because there are all these different ideas going on with Cena. First of all, I want to ask you straight up, do you think he wins the championship one more time?
No, but I think he definitely wins Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
I don't know for certain that he does. I think it's likely he does because I think they want him to break Flair's record for the most amount, or is it Hogan's record for the most amount of championships? Yeah, Flair. I think they would like to have John Cena hold that title. But it's not guaranteed. It is not. The way I think if it was Vince still running the company, I think it would be super easy. I think it'd be way more telegraphed. I think he would have won the Rumble and it would have been like fait accompli that this was going to happen. But, I don't know. I watched Jey Uso take the IC belt off of Braun Breaker on a random Monday. They're just okay with doing some things that they're okay with swerving left and swerving right to serve the bigger picture. And I don't know if I think John Cena ultimately does win the championship. He should, but I can't say anything for certain with this WWE, which is a great spot to be, in my opinion. So
I think he is going to, and I called this with the Royal Rumble, that he was going to get really close and then fail. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be a trend. You're going to see him get really close in opportunities and then fall short and continue to fall short. Yeah. And I think I don't think he's going to win Elimination Chamber. I think he's going to be right there. And then he'll be like one of the last
How does he get his way into
Mania? I don't know. Okay. They figure something out. They can just put together some BS storyline. Someone gets injured in the back and now he can't fight anymore. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
They can do that. I don't see it being like when Kofi Kingston got his shot at WrestleMania, everyone knew that Kofi was winning. Everyone knew that Cody was finishing the story this last year at WrestleMania. I don't know that it's so. I think they're going to swerve a little bit. They're going to swerve a few times on the John Cena retirement tour, and it's not going to be as well. Okay, we know he's going to win, but how? I don't think that's going to be the case. So, wanted to start there.
Yeah,
John Cena.
Great. I think he. So yeah, you could absolutely be right. I think they're kind of built it that he's going to win it. I'm super curious about that CM Punk Paul Heyman favor on the back burner. I think that's like really interesting. I'd be curious to see what that angle is, but I don't know. I mean, we could spend an entire hour talking about how we think this booking is going to go with Elimination Chamber. So. It'll be really exciting to see how that concludes this Saturday. For that reason, besides Logan Paul, it is a packed Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
I mean, I think besides him and like Damian Priest, I think you could make a case for Cena, Punk, Seth, or like Drew McIntyre. I think there's storylines in all of those. I think it's less likely that McIntyre or Priest? Seth Rollins wins. No, so I'd say if we want to layer the six, I think it's like no shot they win. I think the two are probably Priest and Paul. I just don't think they're there yet. And I don't think Priest will ever be there. And I think Paul, well, it could be interesting. I think he's like a year or two away. If he keeps wrestling, he'll get in a main event picture. Like the dude is like the most over heel and he's like a pretty good wrestler for a guy
he's
who
very athletic.
He's at this point, he's a wrestler. There's no like, he's not a celebrity. He's not Bad Bunny just doing weird spots. Like, he's a full blown wrestler at this point.
Yeah.
And he's a really good heel. I hate how much I like him on the mic. I think he's a terrible guy, but man, does he?
That's exactly what they want.
Perfect. It's perfect for professional wrestling. But I think those two are like bottom tier. Like, there's no shot. I think middle tier, could they? It would be interesting. I'm not sure why they'd go that way. I'd say it's McIntyre and Seth. I can't really see, looking backwards, the storyline that would justify them winning. Like, if they did, I'd just be like, why is this happening? Like, these are like the meta conversations when you watch wrestling, where you go like, what were they building up to just have McIntyre or Seth, really? You know what I mean? They're not in the story right now in that way. And then I think Punk and Cena both could win with good reason. You know, I've never main evented WrestleMania. He's in great shape. He still murders everybody on the mic. Like, in terms of like a business decision, if Cena wasn't in the picture, I'd be like, oh, it's Punk all day long. But with Cena being back in the mix, I just don't know. And I think like both of them super interesting. So yeah, I think it'll be a fun Elimination Chamber. I'm excited to see the fallout. I'm kind of right there with you. It'd be fun if Cena didn't win it, and then we start to figure out how and why he's going to get back into WrestleMania.
Right.
You know, so because I don't think they're gonna. He made it clear he's trying to win a championship. So it's like, if he doesn't, I don't think he wants to do another classic like fantasy book Mania match. Like, I don't think Cena wants to be wrestling like CM Punk, even though they did that for a long time. Back in the day. Like, I just don't think that's the angle they want to work, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's a big one. I mean, what else?
See, you say that until, then something happens, and then The Rock convinces Cody Rhodes to turn heel,
offer up his soul.
Right. And then he ruins things for Cena. And then I'm just saying, like, you could see Cena. Is Cena going to be a part of Money in the Bank? There's so many big opportunities throughout this year to where they could play this. I don't think that it's going to be something. Why would they, for a lack of, why would they blow it all now? Yeah. When it's 3 months into this reunion or this retirement one last time tour. I don't see it.
Well, I'd say my counter to that would be like spitballing, like, let's take it on face value, right? The Rock this past SmackDown offered Cena or Cody Rhodes the corporate angle that The Rock was offered way back in the day. Come be my guy. I'll give you the world. You'll get everything you ever wanted. There's like weird language about like, give me your soul. Like, that promo part felt weird to me, but I like the idea. It's like they've been like hinting at the idea of turning Cody heel, and I think that would be like a really interesting way to do it. Does Cena take the belt off of Cody, and then Cody does take the final boss offer, and maybe there's a program where Cody turns heel, everyone hates him, he does whatever he can to get that belt back from Cena. That could be interesting in a play. Maybe he says no to that offer, and Cena hits him up and goes, hey, we're the guys that have carried this company collectively for the past 35 years, and maybe we see a Cena heel turn. Like, this promo that he cut is super interesting, and your mileage may vary on how good you think it was, but what it's setting up is super interesting, and it's a little too soon, but I'll just say I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Yeah. Like, I think it's unpredictable, which is awesome. The other men's Raw this past week was finally announced. Jey Uso confirmed he wants to take on Gunther.
Yeah. Which we knew.
Which we knew. So that'll be, was that 2 weeks ago already? Am I already that?
Yeah, I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So that was announced.
Because this was, the security was holding him back.
Yeah. And he's like, I shouldn't say this, Oos, but I'm gonna say this, Oos.
Yeah.
I'll see you at WrestleMania. We'll see. I think, dude, if there's no one more over than Jey Uso right now in the entire company. I mean,
which is so crazy to me.
He's so over it.
I don't get the hype. I don't get the Jey Uso hype.
You don't have to. Sometimes it's lightning in a bottle, just like a simple motion. And Yeet is that. People eat it up. Kids love it. They love him. I mean, the guy, from all reports, Jey Uso is the same guy you see on camera and off camera. And that's like really likable. So I don't know. I think I would love to see him take the belt from Gunther. I'm a little unimpressed with the Gunther title reign. He
had such an amazing Intercontinental title run, and everyone expected that to transition and carry over, and it didn't. His his world title run has been flat. For sure.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily his fault. I just think he's like he's been billed as this like dominant presence, and he absolutely is. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the way he wrestles. It just to me, it just isn't that exciting. Yeah. I find myself going, oh, of course they don't want Gunther to lose. And that's like not a fun way to watch wrestling, in my opinion. So I think that's interesting. The other announced Mania match was Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. I love Tiffany Stratton. Yeah. They strapped a rocket pack to her back, and she is absolutely taking that and landed on the stars. I think she's great. She's great on the mic. I think she'd get better, but I think she's awesome on the mic. I think she's a promising wrestler. I think she's better than other people who are where she was at this time. So I think the Charlotte Flair angle is awesome. The crowd has decided Charlotte's a heel. So it's like, and technically Tiff was always a heel, but she's just pretty over. I think it's like an interesting. I'm excited about it.
I think it's a Tiffy time. Like I feel like it's just another bit that works.
Yeah. Her and Trish Stratus are taking on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae at Elimination Chamber. That's awesome.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fact that, unless I've missed it, but the Stratus and Stratton, like how have we not made it something?
I think it's They've hinted at it. They hinted at it a while ago. They haven't like formally named it. Like they named my favorite new gimmick, which is Mellow Don't Miz. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I did see that.
Book it to Mania. I want to see it at Mania. Mellow Don't Miz. It's hilarious watching Carmelo have to wrestle with the Miz. They're both like fucking hams. I love it. So I'm like, and honestly, sometimes a name is all it needs to be. But Mellow Don't Miz is so funny to me.
Yeah,
it's so good. So,
any other big takeaways from the week? Looking forward to Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I think Rhea is defending her title against Io this Raw. I think Rhea keeps it
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
I think it's very obvious that she's going to keep it. I'm curious about who you think is going to win the women's Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that
your girl Alexa Bliss is in there.
Yeah, hell yeah. Very excited about that.
I don't think it's her time, sadly. But
no, it won't be. But I'm just glad she's back. And so anytime she's on the screen, I'm excited for it. I don't know.
I'm like straight up not convinced. If you tell me March 2nd, after I watch it, because I'm actually watching it on Sunday morning, if you told me on March 2nd that Raquel Rodriguez, give me a break.
That
Roxanne Perez, yes,
would be in there. Yeah,
I would say absolutely. It would make perfect sense to me. They made her break the women's Royal Rumble record for a reason. They had her lose. They push her, and you don't call somebody the prodigy and not expect a little push. So I'd be interested in that.
I still don't think it's her time either, though. That'd be a crazy push.
It would be, but they don't view NXT as like as much of a developmental brand as like their third brand. So it's like it's not like it's picking a known. But I don't know if that's true. They just announced, didn't they just like announce there's like a new actual. I'm just saying, but it's on national television.
Brand. It's behind SmackDown.
It's not the big leagues. But what I'm saying is that this Roxanne Perez is legit, period. Put it on wax. That's just the way it is. So I just like not surprised, I guess. And then you've got your classics like Bayley, Naomi. I really hope Bayley doesn't win it. I get that she's been great.
I just was gone for a year. I'd be fine.
Yep. What I hope really happens is, this is me fantasy booking. We can end it this way and you can tell me your thoughts. I would love for it to be found out that the Liv and Raquel just being around that time Jade Cargill got hurt in that footage that it wasn't true. And that right before, like right after Elimination Chamber, it gets found out that it was actually Bianca and Naomi, and they were trying to get Jade out. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's not as crazy. But what I'd love is for that tag team to splinter in a way. Maybe they get forced to relinquish the titles, because it's like weird that Naomi just got to slot in. I've never seen a title just get transferred over to somebody else. So
yeah,
without any, like, nobody, no tag team women's tag team was like, hey, why does Naomi have that? Like, there needs to be like a whole new like contenders match for that. So I would love my thing is I would love to see Bianca go solo. I think Bianca right now is the only star, I guess, besides Charlotte coming back, but she's already programmed with Tiffany, which I think is perfect. Bianca Belair is the only star that I really think could go toe to toe with Rhea at WrestleMania, and it'd be really compelling. I think it's like time for Bianca just to get back into the big dogs push of who is the best female wrestler, because I think she is. I love Bianca Belair. I was a huge Rhea Ripley fan. I still am, but
I over time, I'd love to see Bianca go against Jade and have.
Well, Jade's nowhere close to sniffing a title shot. You know, they put Jade with Bianca because she's pretty.
I'm saying like them going at each other. Like if your little plot plays out of, you know, it being spoiled, but that
sure
it was.
I guess I just don't want the program of them resolving that just yet, because ultimately what I really want to see is Bianca face Rhea. So maybe Naomi was the one that double crossed her. Maybe Bianca doesn't have anything to do with it, right? They were technically in a qualifying match for the women's IC title at that time. So there's enough. It was very clearly billed that they were like, "Oh, Jay got hurt in real life. We don't know we don't have the answer, but we can set it up." So we'll see. But that's the 4 big things I'm excited about. The men's U.S. Championship. I love LA Knight. I think he's a better chaser. So if he does, I'm excited about that Shinsuke program. IC belt Braun Breaker kind of versus they're setting up Penta. That's interesting, but I think Braun needs to hold that title for like 6 months, and then he needs to start pushing for the heavyweight. Like, that dude is an absolute stud. Yeah. I'm loving Chelsea Green is the U.S. champion. I think her comedy shtick is so funny, and she's so great. She's a really talented wrestler.
Okay,
too.
Speaking of comedy, I got to throw this in here, and we got to wrap this up too. But
yeah,
R-Truth is the funniest thing right now, and has been for a long time.
Yep,
and he needs some respect. But like, I don't doubt for a second that what he does is him. Like, that is him going to the writers and being like, "What about if I did this?"
Yeah.
Like, I do not think writers are feeding him. I think he's feeding writers. And they're like, "Yep, that's you. Go do it. We love it." I mean, the man has been around for a long time. You know, R-Truth has not been in the game for like 5 years. And the fact that he's still out here and doing these hilarious gimmicks, I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. What he was on with LA Knight.
Yeah,
was
Louisiana Night. So funny, so
good.
And the week before, he kept claiming he couldn't understand that Mello was him. He's like, "Him is the one who did this." He's like, "I'm him," and he's like, "No, you're not. You're Carmella." It was so funny.
Yeah.
He was on an interview recently, the Chris Van Vliet podcast or YouTube series. He was saying that there's like 2 guys who pitch a lot of stuff to him. I think they're like writers or somebody affiliated, but yeah, he's like, it's a group effort, but he really deflected a lot of that credit. But I mean, the truth is about Ron, I forget what his legal last name is, R-Truth. That man, I'm a professional comedian. His comedic timing is insane. It's the best in the company. Every bit is so funny. He delivers every line flawlessly.
Ron killing.
Like Ron, that's right. You can try to be funny, and you can be funny, and R-Truth has never not been funny, period.
Right.
So
he nails it the entire time.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I think we nailed this. I think we nailed this podcast.
Yeah. Hey,
transition.
Wow.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, John. This has been great. Got a lot of great stuff to look forward to for the next episode, including results of Elimination Chamber. We appreciate everyone joining us. And if you are watching us and you're like, "Hey, you know, I love this, but an hour is hard to watch," well, you can also listen to it on the podcast. Make sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify. We are there as well. Don't Tell Me How to Fan is where you're going to find it. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we hope you come back next time, because we are not done yet.